Hey friends, it is Lane here with Tim's Nation. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the Chaos Knights army I'm bringing today. So I don't actually have the codex yet. We are not big enough and fancy enough for GW to be giving us early release codexes, but it's Chaos Knights, so I'm only running 4 data sheets. So I felt okay about just kind of taking notes and writing down the rules from a couple of the other YouTube channels out there that have had access to the codex and been able to review it, because they pretty much give out all the information, all the data sheets, enhancements, all that kind of stuff. So I felt okay running it. So we are doing the Hound Pack Lance. This is the War Dog specific detachment. Now, it's not War Dog exclusive. You can take Big Knights. But here's the thing, guys. I don't have any Big Knights. I started getting a few of these War Dogs as allies to my Death Guard, and then got a few more, found a few good deals on some Imperial Knight armatures, and I just converted them up and dirtied them up to be Death Guard. They're painted kind of green like my Death Guard because they were allying in with my Death Guard. And to make them look a little bit less Imperial, I just used some texture paint. I think it was the Armageddon Dust, GW's texture paint, and just smeared it all over in places, and then primed it and painted that with like a Gilliman flesh contrast to make them look all fleshy and gross. A few of them have a few nurglings scattered here and there on them. So I had some fun with it. I got some bits off of Etsy to do some of the arms and everything. Magnetized everything so I can future-proof it, so that as things change with this, I can change up the armaments. And it's good, too, because one of the nice things about the new Chaos Knights Codex is that some of the other War Dogs make sense. The 13 War Dog list for the index was pretty much set in stone. It was 6 carnivores, 6 brigands, and then 1 stalker, because the stalkers were also characters. That was it. That was the list. 13 War Dogs. There you go. And now they've changed some rules. So the brigands aren't quite as good as they were, but some of the other ones got a little bit better. We've got some interesting strats and things in this detachment. So it makes more sense. So I'm actually running 4 data sheets today. So the actual Chaos Knights army rule is it's kind of weird. I know some of the detachments play around with these a little bit, but for Chaos Knights, they still have the ability to ally into your other Chaos armies. So you can ally either one big one or up to 3 little ones into any other Chaos armies, demons or Death Guard, World Eaters, what have you. Now, for the actual army rule, first of all, there's something that's active all the time, Deathly Terror. So any models that are within 9 inches of any of your Chaos Knight models, they're just -1 leadership. That's it. And then there are 6 other abilities. And you pick at the beginning of the first round, 3rd round, and the 5th battle round. I don't know why it's not every battle round, but here we go. And you can either choose one of these things, or you can roll 2d6 to randomize and get 2 of them. So you can get the benefits from 2 by randomizing it, rolling dice, or you can get the benefits of 1 by choosing it. If you roll 2 dice and you get the same number twice, there's no rerolls for that, so you're kind of stuck with it. It's kind of a bummer. I don't think any of them are particularly super strong with the Hound Pack Lance detachment that I'm running today. So, yeah, the first one is probably the best one to start off with. Definitely want to choose that one round 1. I'm not sorry, not number 1. Number 3. If I'm more than 18 inches away from my opponent or they are battle shocked, I'm -1 to hit. That's real strong. That's number 3. So if you're rolling dice, that'd be the 3rd one, or if you just choose, you can choose that one. So that's really good for the first battle round when we're far away, and I would not like to get shot quite as much. So it's nice to be able to choose that. So first we have, I don't remember the names of all these. They've got all names like Death and Doom and Destruction and Despair and Dismay and all that sort of thing. The first one, anyone within 9 inches is -1 leadership. That's a cumulative one with the base rule of -1 leadership, so everything will be -2 leadership. The second one is that I get +1 to wound into battle shocked units. If the enemy's unit is battle shocked, I get +1 to wound in it. The third one, as we already said, -1 to hit if they're more than 18 inches away or battle shocked. The fourth one, during the opponent's battle shocks, have all units below full strength within 9 inches of one of my models takes a battle shock test. So in the opponent's battle shock, more than if it's just below full strength, so not below half strength, and within 9 inches of a Chaos Knight, you have to take a battle shock. The fifth one is an enemy unit below half. If it fails a battle shock and is within 9 inches of a Chaos Knight, it takes D3 mortals. And then the final one is just plus 3 inches to aura abilities. So there you go. There is an aura ability in one of the Hound Pack Lance that gives everyone reroll ones to wound within 6 inches. So I guess that's kind of interesting if you want to expand that a little bit. If it's within 9 inches, that's a pretty big chunk of the board where all your Chaos Knights are getting +1 to wound, or not +1, sorry. They're getting rerolling ones, wound rolls of 1. So that may come up into play. Really, just first battle round, I'm going to choose -1 to hit, obviously, so I get shot less. But at first glance, I'm not super impressed with any of these, but I wasn't super impressed with the index attachment either. So they're fine. Like I said, we'll take a little bit less damage battle round 1 because of that. Now moving on to the actual Hound Pack Lance itself. So the Hound Pack Lance does a couple things. First of all, the War Dogs do not get battle line in the new Codex. They do if they're in the Hound Pack Lance. So if you take the War Dog specific detachment, they do gain battle line. Otherwise, they do not have that rule. Then also, you pick 3 of your War Dogs to be characters. You must pick 3. You can't pick less if you're trying to avoid, if you're trying to avoid assassinating, that sort of thing. So you have to pick at least 3. But you pick 3, or not at least, you pick exactly 3. 3 is the number. It shall not be more or less. You pick 3, they'll be characters. That's nice because then you can give them enhancements. This is kind of better than what it was before, because before you'd have to take 1 stalker because that was the one that had the character. Now you can choose. You can take any ones you want. You're not obligated to take a certain War Dog because you can make any of them characters. And I'll be taking advantage of that today with some carnivores. Then the actual detachment rule is kind of a little bit of an oath of moment type of thing. In my command phase, I pick an enemy unit, and the rest of my army gets sustained when targeting that, other than in the indirect. There's the Havoc Launcher, still the indirect carapace-mounted weapons. They do not benefit if they're shooting out of line of sight, so you don't get the sustain there, but anything else gets sustained. Kind of weird because the carnivores already have sustain now on their new data sheet, but at least they can go after something else, and everything else can target. And that's shooting or fighting. So getting sustained against one target will give you a few more shots, give you a few more hits in there. Then the actual enhancements themselves, then we'll go through the full list. So I've got my notes here, guys, because this, like I said, I don't have a codex. These are all my little notes that I scribbled down from watching Auspex Tactics and Art of War, and then their full reviews. So as far as the enhancements, we've got one Prey Slayer's Mantle. It's 15 points. The model gains the Super Heavy Walker abilities. That means it can walk over models, and it can go through models as long as it doesn't engage a range, and it can go through terrain as a Super Heavy Walker does. So when a Super Heavy Walker goes through terrain, you move through it, but then you have to roll a d6. On a 1, you're battle shocked. I'm definitely going to do that with a couple carnivores so they can run through buildings. Or I'm sorry, I'm going to give one carnivore of this enhancement so it can move through buildings. The idea being that I can go through, as long as he doesn't roll that 1 in the battle shock, I can then use him to go and snipe out characters. Because if he is a character, I can spend 1 CP and give him precision in combat with a heroic challenge, the stratagem. Anyways, you can give a character unit precision, and so I can do that if the carnivore has been given precision, and then with Super Heavy Walker, he can just go through the buildings. There's a 1 in 6 chance I fail a battle shock, then I can't use that strat on him, but we're going to risk it. He can still go and do some damage otherwise, but... and then next we've got the Final Howl. This one is 20 points. So... the Final Howl just gives you a 6-inch aura of all your War Dogs reroll 1s to wound. Shooting and fighting, so that's pretty solid. Yeah, no notes there. Just it's good. Like I said, there is the one ability that increases your auras by 3 inches, so you could buff that out to 9 inches, which would be huge. Moving on, we do have Loping Predator. That War Dog just gets assault on its guns. It's 10 points, not super essential, but the Brigands Well, the Demon Breath Spear on the Brigands and on the Huntsman, lost 6 inches of range. They were 24-inch range. Now they're back to 18-inch range, meaning their melter range went from 12 to 9. So if you're trying to get one of those into melter range, it's a little easier to do if you have assault on your guns. You can roll an advanced roll to get there. So I'm not going to take that one today. And then the other one is the Panoply of Cursed Knights. It's just Armor Contempt for that model, so it reduces AP by 1. The enhancements on the War Dogs are kind of weird, because if you put an enhancement on a character that's in a unit, it's kind of hard to precision that character out, other than in combat with a character. But all the War Dogs, none of the War Dogs have lone op or anything. So you go and put enhancements on a War Dog, and it could just get shot right out of your opponent might just shoot that one off the table first. So with the way the points are for the War Dogs now, you can take 14 War Dogs, where you could take 13 before. If you take 14, they're all 140 points now, aside from the Helvrin version, the Executioner, the one with the 2 autocannons. That one's 130. But even if you took the max number of those 6, you still couldn't squeeze in a 15th War Dog. Because if you take all the other ones, like I said, are all 140. So if you take 14 of those, it's not 1,960 points. So it leaves you 40 points left over for enhancements. If you want to squeeze some more enhancements in, you can take one of the Executioners at 130. I'm not running any of the Executioners today. I think 1 or 2 is probably not great. If you take 6 of them, that's a lot of autocannon shots. But AP1 always bumps me out on that one. And there's no anti-fly on the Executioner autocannons either. I don't know if Imperial Knights will get that changed. I don't know if they were before on Chaos Knights. I don't know. But there is no anti-fly on their autocannons. So AP1 is just kind of a bummer, because everything gets cover now. But I mean, if you take 6 of them, that's 48 autocannon shots. That'll do some work, or that'll choose through some things eventually. So, but yeah, you wouldn't be able to squeeze more than 14 War Dogs in here. Now, before it was 13. So a lot of people have been saying, like, oh man, it's a bummer that we lost the toughness, going from toughness 10 to toughness 9. And that obviously is relevant, but I've done the math for you guys, and here's the way it works. When you had 13 War Dogs before, each one had 12 wounds apiece. So now they get 14 wounds apiece. So on those 13 War Dogs, you gain 26 wounds. And now you can put a 14th War Dog in there, another War Dog, that gives you 14 more wounds. So you're going as an army from toughness 10 to toughness 9. But between the extra War Dog and the extra wounds and all the other ones, you're gaining 40 wounds, still on a T9 front chassis that's got a 5-up invul and shooting. So gaining 40 wounds across the armory is pretty good. Getting another 14th one, that means you got 14 activations. It's great for doing actions, that sort of thing. And like I said, today I'm not taking any of the Executioners, so we've got 960 points worth, and that gives us 40 points left over for enhancements. So what I've decided to do today is I'm taking the Final Howl, which is 20 points, which is the aura of reroll once to wound, and then I'm also taking Prey Slayer's Mantle, which is the gain super heavy. Like I said, I want to run a Carnivore through a wall, if I can, and maybe go find some characters, go find some juicy targets out there, because the Carnivore's got a 14-inch move still, so he still moves pretty good. So, that's all I think there is to say about the actual stuff. I'll get into the strats after we talk through the actual list. So I'm just going to go through my list relatively quickly here. We've only got 4 data sheets, but we'll talk a little bit about what changed on each of those data sheets. So here it is. Here's the list. As I said, this is 1,995 points of Chaos Knights in the Hound Pack Lance, so all War Dogs. Like I said, you don't have to take all War Dogs, but the rules mostly benefit them here. You could throw in a big one if you wanted to. I don't know how the synergies work, because I don't own any big ones, and I've never even looked at their data sheets. Sorry, Big Knight fans. It's all Little Knights here. So we have... To start off with, as far as the characters, I did pick 3 models to be characters. Now, 2 of them will be Carnivores, and 1 will be the Brigand. So the Brigand will have, and I'm using the Brigand that has he's on a little bit an elevated base, like he's got some extra stones and stuff on his base, so he's a little bit higher. He's got a Nurgling manning his stubber on top. So I'll try to remind you throughout the actual battle report, because all my knights kind of look the same other than their weapons. But so he has, like I said, he's got the Final Howl, which gives the aura of rerolling ones to wound. So he and all of his brigand buddies can at least be rerolling ones to wound. And then we've got 2 carnivores that have been characters. One of the carnivores has 2 little nurglings out in front of him carrying a piece of his armor that fell off. So he is going to get the, oh, I forgot the name of it already. The one that makes him a super heavy walker. So he'll be able to go through walls at with the battle shock check there. That, like I said, that would be handy, because if he can go through a wall, go find a character and precision out that character, because he is a character, he can use the strat. Going into the Necrons today, they've got Wraiths. They've got a character attached to the Wraiths that gives them a 5 hook, feel no pain. So if I can get in there and take him out, and with his Slaughter Claw being D6 plus 2 damage, a lot of times you just need 1 hit to go through to finish off a character that's got 4 or 5 wounds, because he's got big damage with that Slaughter Claw. So we'll see how that plays today. We have another one, and I'll be using the other another carnivore that's got is a character, but he doesn't have any enhancements on him. Moving on. So, like I said, it's kind of nice that we get to use some different data sheets now besides just basically carnivores and brigands. So I'm going to start off with, I'm taking 2 stalkers. So stalkers gained the 6-inch scout move, which is nice. That gives you the ability to move out there a little bit, get on objectives, get ready to score secondaries, and also move into cover, because we have so many knights. Even if we put a couple of them in reserve, you're just going to have a whole bunch of guys down the table that are going to get shot easily. So that scout lets me move forward and find some cover. And the stalkers, they do still have the rule that they get +1 to wound if they target an enemy that is more than 6 inches away from any other enemy units, meaning if it's alone. So my thought with these guys is I gave them the chain cannons, and they have the chain talons. So they have the Gatling gun and the chainsaw. The reason being, they're probably going to go out there and tangle with other skirmishing units like Space Marine Scouts, that sort of thing that gets out in the middle of the table. And because they'll benefit by, first of all, getting scouts so they can move into the middle sooner. Second of all, a lot of those units will be independent, more than 6 inches away from any of their friends. So I'll get the +1 to wound into them. And that's why I took a lot of the higher volume stuff on him. He does have the option of doing the chain cannon or the demon breast spear. I did the chain cannon because I figured I would be chewing into some more small, light skirmishing units with these guys. So we got 2 of them today. Moving on, we have... for the brigands, so things changed a bit for the brigands. So the brigands, they no longer their demon breath spear is no longer a 24-inch range. So their Melta is no longer a 24-inch range. It's still Melta 4, which is strong, but you got to get within 9 inches now to proc off the Melta, because it's only an 18-inch range overall in the gun. They also went from ballistic skill 2 to 3. Bummer. Now that's offset a bit by the detachment rule that gives you sustained into a target. Relying on sustain with a 2-shot Melta, big Melta, it's not real, it's not real consistent, but maybe it'll help offset that. Occasionally getting a 6 or 2 on some melted shots will obviously improve their output quite a bit. And then the other thing is that the special rule in the carnivore changed. It's no longer +1 AP into the nearest eligible target. Now it is ignore cover on targets on objectives. This is kind of a side grade here, because the +1 AP is consistent, but sometimes you don't want to shoot the nearest eligible target. Sometimes you want to shoot something a little bit further away. And, it's good to kill things that are on objectives. So that's not too bad. Really, that's it. Everything else is pretty much the same. His chain gun is still the same. The demon breath spear lost 6 inches of range. But again, that's kind of offset by the sustained. And if you really want to get into Melta range, then give one of these guys the enhancement that gives him assault, and he'll just be able to move a little bit farther and faster. It is a bummer now that they cannot come in from reserve and shoot and be within Melta range anymore. That's kind of a big change. But remember, they still have a 12-inch move, so they're going to move around, and hopefully you'll still be able to get them into Melta range. So we're taking 4 of them today. We are taking also 4 of the carnivores. So carnivores have a 14-inch move as opposed to the 12-inch that everybody else has. They They still get to reroll charges, and now they reroll advances as well if you want to. So, but reroll charge is really strong on something with a 14-inch move. They've got their Slaughter Claw and their Chain Talon punching away. The Slaughter Claw is 6 attacks that hit on 3s. He hits on 3s now, so weapon skill is no longer 2, but back to 3s. 6 attacks that hit on 3, strength 12, AP 3, D6 plus 2 damage. And he also has the Chain Talon Sweep, which is 12 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 8, AP 2, 1 damage. And both of those get sustained. So even though the ballistic skill or the weapon skill got worse, the gain sustained, which is just kind of a weird side grade, mathematically they're the same, I guess. It does feel a bummer losing the consistency of the hitting on 2s, but mathematically it should still be the same. So they're still pretty strong. So that's why we've got 4 of them today. And then today we are using 4 of the Huntsmen. So the Huntsman is... this is the same loadout as the Imperial Armiger Warglaive. He's got the Chain Talon and the Melta gun. So, and his special rule, it used to be that he rerolls 1s to wound and 1s for damage into vehicles and monsters, but now he just gets full rerolls to wound into vehicles and monsters. And that is a significant improvement. So that's much stronger for him, especially with that big damage Melta and those the attacks from the Chain Talon. Getting the wound rerolls is really strong on this guy. And especially if you're going into your marked target, you're going to get that sustained as well. So we do have 4 of them. Now, because they are based off of the Imperial Armiger kit, they cannot take Havocs, the indirect fire, but they can take Meltas. So I gave all 4 of mine Melta guns on the top on the carapace. So they'll have the Demon Breath Melta and the Melta gun up on the top of the carapace, just meaning they get 1 extra shot to do a little damage into vehicles and monsters, especially with those wound rerolls. So that's it. That's the list. So I'd say most everything. The toughness going from 10 to 9, but gaining the additional wounds and the points going down. The lessening of the ballistic skill and the weapon skill on the Brigand and Carnivore, but gaining the sustain. The Carnivore has sustain built in to all of his attacks, and with the detachment rule, you can pick a target to get sustained, and it kind of evens that out. I think the biggest loss in all of this is just the Demon Breath Spear going from a 24-inch range Melta gun to an 18-inch range Melta gun, meaning the Melta range for that big Melta 4 went from 12 inches to 9 inches. A lot of times that's not a big deal, but it really matters because before you'd be able to bring them in from reserve, and then they'd be within 12 inches of their target and be in Melta range. So that has changed. But like I said, with the enhancement that gives you the assault on one of them, then you can advance them up and get a little closer. Maybe you can offset that. But other than that, like I said, you get 40 more wounds across the army between the extra wounds and all the models and the extra 14th War Dog. And I think we got some good strats in here. So the strats are kind of interesting. The bummer on this army is that there's no way to get a free strat or to generate extra CP because there are lots of strats in here that I want to use. So to start off with, this one's 2 CP, which is kind of brutal, again, for an army that does not generate CP or get any free strats anywhere. Fox Howl. At the start of the shoot or fight phase, you pick a character model. So this is one of the 3 character war dogs that you've chosen. Every enemy within 9 inches takes a battle shock test. Just every enemy, whether they're wounded or not, takes a battle shock. And any friendly war dogs that are within 9 inches, they're for battle shock, they can take a battle shock as well, then unbattle shock, which is kind of cool. Too expensive at 2 CP. Like I said, if there was some way to, if there's enhancement that generated CP somewhere or something like that, or a character that, reduces the cost of a strat by 1, possible. But at 2 CP, I don't anticipate myself using this one because there are other ones I want to use. Next, Hungry for Combat. 1 CP, this is an interesting one. You need to have 2 war dogs in engagement range with the same target. And for 1 CP, they both crit on 5s. So we know that our marked target will always be getting sustained into, and we know that carnivores always get sustained anyways in combat. So if we get 2 carnivores into a target for 1 CP, they can both proc their sustained on 5s, which means that mathematically they should hit. For every attack, they should have a hit. For 6 attacks, they're going to miss 2, but have 2 sustained proc off. So 6 attacks should result in 6 hits. We'll see what the dice say. Obviously, every time you roll dice is going to be weird. But just to give you a little bit more consistency on 2 would be a big plus, especially if you're going into a big target that's going to need that damage. Also might be good on the Huntsman, because they're going to reroll wounds in the vehicles and monsters. If you really need to get into that, hit them pretty hard, just get more hits from a couple of those with the full wound rerolls would be really juicy. Moving on, we have the Cunning Hunter, 1 CP, fallback, shoot, and charge. Fallback, shoot, and charge. Real good, guys. For 1 CP, one of your models can fall back, shoot, and charge. Real strong. You have so many on the table that I might not use that so often, especially because they're vehicles. They can shoot into combat or out of combat. But when you need it, it's there. That's super handy to have. Number 4, Animalistic Rage. In your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, you get to use this after the war dog has been killed. They can shoot or fight on death. So this is interesting because there's a lot of fight on death strats, but you usually have to spend the CP when the unit is targeted. It allows them to have a dice roll that you have to make. This is nice because it's after the model is killed. You spend 1 CP, and then if it was shooting phase, then you can shoot. So if someone shoots down one of your brigands, well, then spend 1 CP and he gets to shoot before he dies. Or in the fight phase, he gets to fight if he hasn't fought or fight. I think he can even fight even if he has already fought. I don't think it says if he hasn't fought. I'll double check that one, see if I can find that somewhere. But he still gets to fight. And it even says that they can, do all the stuff. They can consolidate and pile in and everything. And then after they fought, it specifically says in the strat that after they fought, then you roll your deadly demise to see if you explode. So real strong. 40K in 10th edition is a trading game, and if you punish your opponent for killing something by killing something in return, doing some significant damage, it's real strong. Again, great for 1 CP. Next, Harrying Hounds. This one's great as a counter move. If your opponent moves within 9 inches, you spend 1 CP, and then you get a 6-inch move. No D6 here, just a flat 6-inch move. Really great for shutting down necessary charge for your opponent. It's 1 CP, they move within 9, and you get a 6-inch move. Again, really strong. And finally, we have the Encircling Pack. At the end of your opponent's fight phase, if you have a war dog that is wholly within 12 inches of a table edge, you can spend 1 CP and pick it up and put it in reserve. So a good way to get some mobility, probably later in the game because you got so many dogs, you're going to have plenty on the table. But if you need to get around places or you have a war dog that's kind of stranded somewhere and not going to be able to contribute, you can always up you downy them now. They go into reserve. They have to be wholly within 12 inches of table edge, but still, some really strong strats in here. I want to make sure I keep my eyes on my little cheat sheet here because I definitely want to take advantage and use some of these because, I mean, the fight on death, shoot on death one is really strong, especially because you don't have to spend it till after it dies. Good. I forgot. And that one, they do have to target the unit that killed it. The ability to have a reactive move, to be able to fall back and shoot and charge. All these are good, strong strats. Like I said, it's a shame we don't have any way of generating any extra strats. So the game today is I don't like Wraiths with 5-up Feel No Pain. So we're going to see if those carnivore characters can go do something about that. And then other than that, we're just going to see how the list plays, see how it feels when we've got 14 dogs on the table. At T9, 14 wounds apiece. So follow me over to the battle report, guys, and let's see how they do.